The Talisker Whiskey Atlantic Challenge is known as the world's toughest row, a journey that takes several weeks to complete and covers more than 3,000 miles in the process. Today we catch up with two locally renowned individuals from Basic Projects who undertook this extraordinary endeavor to raise money for a local nonprofit. Ben Towill and Chef Charlie Layton, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I do have to ask, Charlie, first of all, your team, part of the Dreamboats team, what was the motivating factor to take on a challenge of this magnitude?
So I think it's something that me and Ben had kind of discussed in a year review meeting, and then we just had this window of opportunity when the pandemic happened to have something to strive for. When everything else was closing around us, we were like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And we also had been working with the Green Heart Project quite closely here in Charleston, and there was no one better to raise money for, we thought, than the Green Heart Project. They go into schools locally and build urban farms and get kids outside of the classroom to learn about food and their regular curriculum environment, all packed into this fun, engaging outside learning.
Yeah, and you guys raised a lot of money for the Green Heart Project.
We did, $150,000.
Wow, that is so incredible. How long did this journey take you to complete?
Yeah, so it took us 40 days, 8 hours, and you probably know the minutes.
59 minutes.
And 59 minutes. So, just imagine that. Just Charlie and I, 24-foot rowboat, crossing the Atlantic Ocean 3,000 miles for 40 days. And we were sleeping 2 hours on and 2 hours off. So for those 40 days, neither of us slept for more than an hour and a half max.
What was the roughest part of the journey, would you say, Ben?
Yeah, so two parts are very rough. First is I get terribly seasick, so the first 5 days for me were a real struggle. Charlie sort of took the weight of the boat until I got my sea legs back, and then the second part was a big storm that we had, a 5-day storm just building up to Christmas and after Christmas, and that ended up in a capsize. And just being in that environment again in the ocean, 40-foot seas, 35-knot winds, will make you think about a few things.
Yeah. And Charlie, what was the favorite part of the journey for you?
Honestly, my favorite part, we made a deal that every morning at 8 o'clock we would sit and have breakfast facing each other.
Okay.
And this was normally when the sun was just coming up. We just rode through the night, and at night we tried to seize the night and make the most out of it. So to have that moment in the morning of reflection and just checking in with each other, we'd play the same cheesy pop songs and just enjoy breakfast every morning. That was probably the most magical part. Another
thing is the calories that you're burning, I'm sure, is ridiculous. How do you sustain, what are you eating to sustain the calories you're burning?
It was, I always make a joke that it was almost an eating challenge as well as a rowing challenge, because you have to take on between 5,000 and 8,000 calories a day.
Wow.
To try and make sure you're not going into too much of a deficit. So we had 4 rehydrated camping meals, essentially, high calorie, plant-based meals that ranged in flavors. Some were delicious and some were not. And that soon became a point to every mealtime of digging through our rations and seeing what we could pull out that was palatable for that day. And then we had about 3,000 calories worth of snacks as well, which when you see it all laid out, it was so daunting. It was a lot of food.
Yeah. And Ben, you mentioned earlier that you guys did capsize. Did you lose any of the prized few things you were able to take along with you?
So when we capsized, we did lose some essentials. We lost our water bottles, but we lost our seat covers, our seat pads. And so that, when we saw those floating off as the boat was self-righting, was sort of soul-destroying, because we had one Dick's Sporting Good seat pad for the next 1,500 miles.
Oh my goodness.
And by the time we got into English Harbour, it was basically a pancake. So we had that, and then sunscreen. 2 Brits in the middle of the Atlantic rowing towards the Caribbean, and we lost a lot of sunscreen, so we ran out. So we arrived as sort of 2 lobsters.
Well, you guys did win. We have to put that out there.
We did win, and it was we didn't expect to. I think we trained really hard, 2 years of incredibly focused training, and we arrived and we got out there and we just rowed our own race, and we came in about 100 miles ahead of the nearest pairs boat.
How did you guys stay positive during 40 days out at sea? How'd you do it?
We had a rule on our boat, a saying, a happy boat is a fast boat. So Charlie and I just try to turn everything that could have been negative into a positive. And so the food experience, say, hey, good morning, although we've just seen each other 2 hours before, every time they came out of the cabin, hey man, what can I get you? How can I help you? What an amazing day, what a sunset. Those sort of things, if you live like that and you look at those positives, it'd be very easy to be like, oh, I'm tired. And so I think just that really positive attitude on the boat that we both committed to really helped us. Obviously, there were parts when we weren't feeling that.
So Charlie, how can our viewers continue to support the Green Heart Project?
So they are located down on King Street in the Enston Homes community, and every Thursday they run a pay what you can farmers market with all the produce that's grown in excess at all the schools. And then obviously following us, Dreamboats.us on Instagram, we still have a donation link live, and you'll see us engaging in the community. They've actually just had their most recent event, their harvest dinner, but just keep an eye out on their Instagram as well, which is greenheart.chs.
Awesome.
For any other events coming up.
Wonderful. Well, I will put that down below for our viewers so they can follow you guys and keep up, and maybe, you know, that this will happen again. Who knows?
Who knows? There's another ocean out there.
Thank you, Chef Charlie and Ben, so much for joining us. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
We are back after this.